Welcome to Humphreys of Henley TV, countryside concierge at its finest. And another welcome to Blenheim Palace. We've had the most glorious time here, and we've got yet more to share with you in this episode of the wonders of probably the most spectacular building in the country. So we hope you enjoy it. We've certainly enjoyed being here. Now behind me you can see this rather impressive look. A palace like Blenheim has to have the most incredible entrance, and this is certainly does not disappoint. Apparently it's not confirmed, but apparently it is a replica of the lock at the entrance to the city of Warsaw, and it has a rather splendid key. We're not allowed to have the key, but it has a rather splendid key to get in as well. But it really is absolutely beautiful, and quite frankly I'm rather pleased I don't have the job of cleaning it. We're now entering the absolutely splendid saloon. Now this was designed for the first Duke to really show the incredible achievements that he had done during the Battle of Blenheim, and just how incredibly important he was to the crown of England. You can, I mean, it really does personify the word breathtaking as you walk in, with the paintings on the walls and the ceiling. You just have to stand here and take it all in. Now, back in the day of the first Duke, this was very much used as a reception room, and you can see there's plenty of space and the beautiful windows and carvings and so on to really entertain his most important guests. Nowadays, it's used more as a dining room, which is really rather lovely, and apparently the family enjoy their Christmas Day in here with big roaring fires, and I'm guessing a rather lovely dinner. At the moment, Blenheim is celebrating the 1920s, and you'll see as we go around the palace there are various displays and so on that are really celebrating that incredible decade, amazingly 100 years ago. Coming through from the staterooms, coming into the long library, this is probably my favourite room in the house, but we do need to talk about just some of the really special things that you can see as you walk through the staterooms. They're continuing the 1920s exhibition, so there are a lot of lovely little personal touches. There is the note that the first Duke sent to Sarah, his wife, asking her to tell Queen Anne that her army had achieved a glorious victory over the French, and it's very well preserved. Well, the original's not here, it's a copy that's here, but he wrote it on the back of a bill from a tavern, apparently, because that was the only thing he could find to hand, and it was important that he got the message across. One of the fabulous features in one of the staterooms is also the family portraits of the 9th and the 5th Duke and their families, and you must, whenever you come here, you must have a look at all of the portraits and spot the spaniel, because the Cavalier King Charles so many families of Cavalier King Charles spaniels have been bred here at the palace, and they are said to have the Blenheim spot, because while Sarah was sitting waiting anxiously for news from her Duke to know whether he had been successful or not, she apparently had a very pregnant little spaniel sitting on her lap, and as she kept stroking his head, she developed a spot, and apparently the next litter that she gave birth to all had these little spots on their head, and so that's the history of the Blenheim spot. And in most of the family portraits you'll be able to see at least one or two little dogs making an appearance, which is just lovely. One of the other, I think, quite personal pieces that is in the library is the fabulous statue of Queen Anne. Now, the Duke and Duchess did fall out of favour with Queen Anne. I think there were all sorts of shenanigans going on at the palace, but quite clearly Sarah never actually really held Queen Anne responsible for the falling out. So in the 1730s, she commissioned this incredible statue of her and made reference to the contrivances of others that damaged their friendship. But she always felt that their friendship probably did stay in the hearts of both and was certainly incredibly special. But as you can see, the library is quite extraordinary and leads up to the incredible organ right at the end. So you can just imagine the parties and the drinks and some of the stories that these walls could tell of all of the different events that took place here. Now, we all love a little bit of competition, don't we? And arguably, this room is the second longest room in any house in the whole of England. Although this is in a little bit of dispute at the moment, because apparently the measurement incorporated the organ, which obviously takes up quite a bit of room. So there may be a little bit of a challenge to Castle Howard to see whether they really do have the longest room in England. So yes, these walls have lots of secrets to tell from all of the fabulous events that have taken place in this room over the last 300 years. But the secrets don't stop there, and you could even contribute to some of the stories by having a rather fabulous dinner party, cocktail party, whatever you fancy, because this room is available for hire, which is quite extraordinary if you've got a really special event to come and celebrate. The wonderful thing about walking around Blenheim is even just, dare I say it, just walking through the corridors, there is something to look at every turn. And we're in the rather magnificent North Corridor, just off the Great Hall. And there's a rather sad story. This is the 9th Duke of Marlborough, opposite his wife. And we talked about some of the challenges for the generations of really preserving this magnificent palace for the British nation. And sometimes they've had to make sacrifices. And there's a rather sad, loveless marriage that took place between the 9th Duke and Consuelo Vanderbilt. Like many of the age, Consuelo came over from the US and brought a dowry of £2.5 million, which was a huge amount of money back in the late 19th century, and was the difference probably and meant the survival of the palace. But they really didn't love each other. They did have 2 children, and both went on, I think, probably to lead happier lives when they were no longer together. But it just shows what people through the history have done and sacrificed for our benefit, very much for our benefit now, because we probably wouldn't be able to visit this stunning palace if it hadn't been for the sacrifice that they both made. So I think we should be jolly grateful to them. I hope you've enjoyed this little sneak preview behind the doors of Blenheim Palace. There'll be more little secrets to be shared from the grounds and so on next week. We look forward to seeing you then.